What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another NHL edition of our DFS breakdown here at Fantasy Sports Insight. I am going to briefly touch on the first showdown game here that starts in an hour and a half, and then get into the classic slate that starts at 2 o'clock. So usually I don't touch on the showdown slates on these videos for free, but we will touch on it a little bit, but my core plays and the lineups will be out in our Discord channel. Let's get into our screen share here, in which I will start with the odds. Yesterday we saw a lot of low-scoring games, except for the Vegas and Chicago game that had 12 goals, even though the over-under was 5.5. We have Tampa Bay being a minus 175 favorite here against the Blue Jackets. Tampa Bay is leading the series 3-1, so this could be a closeout game here. Over-under is only 5, so I don't expect a lot of goals per usual with these two teams. We'll talk a little bit about showdown here in a second. We have the Bruins at minus 145 against Carolina. Boston is up 3-1 in the series. Again, over-under is only 5, so pretty low total. Colorado, biggest favorite on the slate at minus 220 against Arizona. We saw them throttle them last game. I would expect Nathan MacKinnon to be a top target for me again today. The Flyers and the Canadiens, if you're in our Discord channel, I just talked about, like, the Flyers and the Canadiens have, like, some of the worst DFS players in terms of hockey. I mean, Shea Weber has definitely had some moments of consistent greatness in terms of DFS, and same with, like, if you go longer term, Brendan Gallagher has been a stud. But in the short term, those two have not been as consistent as we would like. And then on the Flyer side, you're basically just looking for correlation. You know, Provorov is their best defenseman, is still not really a super high floor player for his price tag. So you're looking for that, you know, Voracek, Couturier goal, Giroux or something like that. You're basically playing for correlation with those guys, not really like cash optimal plays that have a lot of floor. And then we have the Canucks and the Blues, which has actually been one of my favorite series to watch so far. Just seeing Pettersson and Perron go basically right at each other. O'Reilly, you know, like, and you look at some of Ryan O'Reilly's, like, puck possession times statistics, it's just insane. He is a much better hockey player than he is a DFS player, but he can definitely score some goals as well. So let's dive in. We are going to first start with, sorry, I was looking up Fody here before. We are going to start with I'm going to pull up Daily Faceoff as well. Start with the Tampa Bay Columbus side. I assume Vasilevsky will be in net again. And same with Korpisalo. Those two have been kind of just staples of, they haven't had much rotation compared to some of the teams that have rotated some of their starting goalies. The biggest line rush news that I continue to monitor is the Blue Jackets. Of course, Stamkos has not been playing, so we haven't really had a lot of change and movement within Tampa Bay. And it also really wouldn't change who I'm targeting for Tampa Bay. Pretty consistently, I'm looking at Hedman, Point, and Kucherov. And that's, you know, everything after that has to be cheap enough for a value play for me. But let's take a look quickly at Columbus's lines. Last game with Cam Atkinson coming back, that did move Liam Fody down to line 4, which makes him instantly overpriced. Bjorkstrand is somebody that I rarely pay for, but he is getting some shot volume that I'll talk about when we get to back to the DK screen. Dubois has obviously been really good in the playoffs. Texier has been obviously a really popular value play for a lot of people, but his price tag has now come up, at least in showdown formats, to like 5,000, which is still value, but it's not the 2-3K that we were getting for a while there. On the next line, obviously, Cam Atkinson has been pretty underpriced, I think, due to being out and had a couple poor games. Boone Jenner is always a decent cash play. Foligno is also a decent cash play. Yeah, so that's where the lines are sitting right now. I don't really want to entertain this ad. Sorry about that. But we do know when you look at the defensive pairings that basically the top two are the guys that you really want to target, Zach Werenski and Seth Jones. And then in the power play the last game, We still have Nyquist on this group of 5 here, and then in the second group, Fodie and Texier are both in that group. But again, I will just mention, as I mentioned in other videos, you don't expect just because they're the second power play unit that they're going to get equal time, and or even all the players. You might see Zach Werenski come in for Seth Jones or come in for Bjorkstrand or Nyquist, and they might run 2 defenders. And then maybe, Foligno comes in for Dubois, but you don't see Fodie actually come on the line because Atkinson wants to stay out there, or however it works. A lot of times with these studs, like Patrick Kane doesn't come off of either power play unit. Marchand and Bergeron, rarely do unless it's like a stopped puck with 15, 20 seconds left, then they'll come off. But, if there's still more than 30 seconds left, then you don't usually see them coming off the ice for power play. So let's get into this showdown slate first. I think in cash, as I always continue to say, in hockey, the highest floors are obviously created by the goalies. So I do think both goalies are definitely in play, especially when the total is only 5. And likely in cash, I'll be using one of them in captain. So on slates like this, I get really cash strapped right away, because if I'm using, say, Vasilevsky and Korpisalo and Kucherov, I'm already at $4,000 left a player. You can still fit in someone like Hedman. Actually, you can't fit in Hedman here. You would have to go Korpisalo captain, I believe, to even make that work. And then I think you can play Hedman and then punt. No, you can't even play Hedman. So you can't even realistically do this. So Hedman's price has come up a little bit, and same with Kucherov. I think Kucherov was $10K last time. But so they are maybe trying to minimize the chalky 2 goalies, 2 studs, and then 2 complete punts, which is fine, whatever. But I do think Seth Jones, he's played the most minutes, I think, in the playoffs so far. But Cam Atkinson at 7,600 is definitely a steal. He had a goal last game. He's going to see some decent time on ice. Don't let these 2 other games fool you. He's a high-volume shooter long-term. It's just more – depends on how Columbus played. Columbus last game played a lot more active. They had a lot more shots on goal than Tampa Bay, where that hasn't really been the case most of the series. Tampa Bay has really dominated that section or that part of the game. But otherwise, Point, Hedman, Seth Jones, Cam Atkinson. Moving down, Savard's price is just way too expensive for me. Just knowing that he's typically like just a natural defender, not really an offensive defenseman. 7K is insanely, ridiculously overpriced. I don't even know where they even get that starting point with him. Boone Jenner at 6,400 has been pretty poor so far, but we do know that longer term he does get some decent shot volume. The only problem with him not getting power play one time, that does definitely reduce his upside. Nyquist at 5,400, Texier, as I said before, 5,200. Moving down here, we have Fodie, which this is a prime example of getting moved down from line 1 to line 4. He had 5 minutes of ice time. A lot of times when the games get super close and you're down in the line 4, then you don't even come on the ice for the last. You might only have played in the first period and a little bit in the second, and that's it. So do be weary about that. I think one thing to look at if you are playing guys from the line 4 or line 3 even. 3 is a little bit safer, but line 4, if they do have some PK duties like penalty kill, that does create some block shot upside or a shorthanded goal or assist. That just gets them on the ice more. But if they don't have any other duties other than that, then that makes it really difficult. This is really interesting. I don't know the chances. I haven't really read. I know he was ruled out last game, but Stamkos likely probably still out. But if for some reason he's in, they priced him down to 5,000 for absolutely no reason except for to get absolutely be like 100% ownership if he's 5,000 and he actually plays. So don't really understand the move. Werenberg is a decent value. We should have my favorite play still down here at 2K, Riley Nash. I just really like his floor for his price, and he's getting decent minutes. He's on the third line. So I do think Riley Nash is definitely in play as a 2K punt. And then you're just going to have to really pay close attention to who's actually playing. Verhaeghe has slotted in. Robinson has been playing. Kukin has been playing. Now, if I pronounce these names wrong and you're an NHL guru, don't judge me. I'm more on the DFS side, but I do love watching it. Bemstrom has been playing as well. So that's kind of, Shen, I think, slotted in one game. But that's kind of where I would be at. I think Riley Nash is your best value play. Wenberg is always somebody that's really goal or assist dependent, but he does definitely get some time on ice. So at 3,600, if he gets an assist, he already paid off his price tag. Other than that, I think that's about it. Shattenkirk has just not been playing enough. 15 minutes on ice. The most of the time has been going to McDonough, Hedman, and Sergachev. So that really limits the upside of someone like Shattenkirk, where you get a lot higher floor from someone like McDonough, who's on the ice a lot more, blocks more shots, has been putting more shots on net. So I like McDonough over Shattenkirk. All right, let's move on to our other games. We're going to move to the classic slate now. If you want other information on the showdown slate, make sure you hop in our Discord channel, and I will help you out there. Starting at the center position, Nathan MacKinnon, probably the highest owned play of the slate, one of my first guys in. So I will be locking him in all my cash lineups. Just too high a floor with not only shots on goal, but assist equity. He's on the ice the whole time, basically. He maximizes his time on the ice. He overskates his lines. He's skating with line 2 and line 4 sometimes. Then we move down to Bergeron, which I think Bergeron, if you are going to play a correlation play with Marchand, I really like that. Bjork is, slotted in, I think, as the third guy in on their first line last game. Didn't do much, but has just that opportunity equity with a cheap price tag. Aho has kind of disappeared a little bit lately. He's had some assists, but just the other, after he had these three monster games against the Rangers, he hasn't really done much. He's had some assists, but the shots on goal is just not there. And that's due to a lot of just like the stifling defense of Boston and the return of Dougie Hamilton. A lot more of the shot and the offenses are coming through the blue line from Dougie Hamilton when he's in the lineup compared to Aho getting in front of the net. Pettersson has been unreal in the playoffs. We know that. He finally, his goal streak ended last game. I do think that naturally you see a lower shot floor with him. That 6 shots on goal game was definitely an outlier performance because he's usually playing center and he's dishing it, or if he is taking the shot, it's a high percentage shot, so you're not going to see him tossing in bad shots from distance, even though we like that from a DFS perspective. Horvat's been a stud in the playoffs. Nazem Kadri, I feel like I've talked about him every slate. I really loved him when he was on the heater, 5 shots on goal with, and then tailed him a couple of these games and then get off of him. And then he puts up 2 goals and an assist. Now, I don't expect Colorado to score 7 goals, but Kadri at 5,400 is definitely in play, especially that he's getting first power play run with MacKinnon. Trocheck is nice value, decent play. Coyle, Stefan, I like those guys in a vacuum, and that's probably as far as I would go. It looks like Jordan Staal is day-to-day, so that could shake up the lines for Carolina if he is out. He hasn't not done anything DFS-wise, but I think if he is out, that would maybe shift some things around. Let's go to the winger position, Pastrnak. I have not heard news today yet. Obviously, if he is able to play in Game 5, he immediately becomes in play. Probably would be like 1A MacKinnon, 1B Pastrnak. I think Pasternak's matchup is a lot tougher, but I do think he is just an absolute stud, and you can even play Pastrnak and MacKinnon. That would obviously remove any value from someone like Bjork if Pastrnak is in. Then we move down. We have Marchand, who I mentioned earlier. You can correlate with Bergeron and Pastrnak. And then Ratinen and Landeskog. As I said last game, when Landeskog was slotted in the first line again, He had 2 assists and a shot on goal, only 11.5, but I think he was like 5,400 last game, 5,800, and was like, $1,800 cheaper than Ratinen. I think that was definitely worth the drop down. Now Ratinen did score a goal and had an assist, had a great game, but I think if you were playing Landeskog, you were either stacking all 3, or at least you got 2 pieces of that mix. I'm not a Giroux guy. I'll pass on him. Gallagher's fine, but I like the other options around him. JT Miller has been really good in the playoffs too. Just like the consistent 10-point floor. Now I'm not in the predicting goals kind of DFS player. I like to predict the things that will happen on a normal basis. And his floor is actually not that high in terms of shots and blocks, but he does take high percentage shots that lead to goals. So 6,300, more of a GPP than a cash play for me. Taylor Hall, I hate to go over him, but he's just not seeing the shot volume. I think Arizona's style is so much drastically different than the loose run and gun style of the Devils. It just doesn't help him a ton. But one guy I do love to go back to here is Perron. The man has just been insane in the playoffs. And this is what I'm talking about, the difference of him and JT Miller. 4 shots on goal, 7 shots on goal, 4 shots on goal. He's putting up the volume. He's on the power play. He's super active. So I love Perron. Again, probably a core play. If Pastrnak is not in, it'll be easy to get to Perron. If Pastrnak is in, you might be deciding like a stud scrub lineup or more balance using McKinnon and someone like Perron. Jaden Schwartz has been shooting the puck a ton. Tanner Pearson has been a great value every slate, basically. Toffoli is, I think, still day-to-day. If he is out, that does continue to make someone like Louis Eriksson still in play. I don't even know where. Maybe Louis Eriksson got a little bit of a price bump. It would be really shocking if he did. And no, he's still the minimum price. So if Toffoli's out, he only got 8 minutes on. I don't know what happened there, but other than that, he's been playing a ton and has got a decent floor. But one of the values I will mention that we did catch in chat will be Martinook, or however you say his name, 2,500. If he is skating on the top line with Aho again, he did net a goal. That was his only shot on goal, but that definitely did pay off his price tag. So that's the risk with someone like him and Bjork. Bjork 2,700, just a little bit more expensive. Bjork, again, was in basically a similar situation, had 1 shot on goal, 1 block, and had 2.8. Which, he didn't have 0 when you're paying min price. You basically just don't want 0, but having a little bit of upside is nice too. That's kind of all I'll talk about at the winger position. I think you can go down like Bozak. Niederreiter, you need to figure out where he's playing. He hardly played at all on line 4. He was an awesome value when he was on line 1. And again, the teams that are down 3-1 are more likely to switch things up than you're going to see the teams that are winning. So let's go move to the D position. Dougie Hamilton continues to be one of my favorite plays every single slate. The shot volume, the active, blocking shots, he's just all over the place. And again, he is one of my favorite plays on the slate at 6,500. Same with Pietrangelo. Pietrangelo never comes off the ice. It seems like he's always there. 7 shots on goal. And his shot on goals, if you actually watch the games, he gets so many shots blocked. I'm surprised his shot totals aren't higher. But, look at this. 5-3-0. That was obviously an outlier. 4-5-4-3-7. He's on the power play. He's just a super offensive guy. So in a vacuum, Pietrangelo and Hamilton, I think, are just so close. I think you would maybe the matchup is just slightly better against Vancouver for Pietrangelo than Hamilton. And I think if you're using Perron, then that leans you to Pietrangelo because you're going to get that instant correlation. Edler's been a stud in the playoffs. Parayko has created a really nice cash play just because he's shooting a ton and blocking shots. Quinn Hughes is obviously trying to, go up the ranks as quick as possible, it feels like, here as defenseman, as a rookie, and he is every bit deserving of that. As we move down here, Tanev continues to I just don't know how and where this all of a sudden came from. Blocking so many shots, getting shots on goal, getting assists. Tanev at 3,900 has paid off his price tag by a ton every single slate, which is just incredible. One guy I like to mention here is Justin Faulk. I don't, last game he played the same amount, but in that game against Vancouver, where the game did go to overtime for a little bit, but he was playing on the ice a ton at the end of the game because they needed offense, and he is the one that's willing to put shots on goal. So if you think there's a negative game script for them where they're losing, they'll use Faulk a lot more, and he'll be putting shots on net. Moving down here a little bit further, the guy that I always target down here, maybe still min price. Let's take a peek. Marco Scandella, former Wild, just continues to hit value. He gets the block shot. He's got the block shot bonus 2 of the last 3 games. He had 3 shots on goal last game. So yeah, I really like him. He skates with Parayko. So those pairings get above the blue line and are looking to attack. So that's kind of where I'm going to end the slate today. Be on the lookout in our Discord channel for the core plays and the line rushes as well. Thanks for listening. Hit subscribe. I appreciate it. It helps out our channel a ton. We are really pushing to get to that 1,000 subscribers. So anytime you can, get a buddy to subscribe, or you subscribe and you enjoy our content, that is greatly appreciated.